Good evening, everybody. I would like to call to order the Fraser City Council regular meeting for Thursday, May 12th, 2022 at 6:32 PM on time. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can start.
Yeah.
Cindy, can you please call a roll for council members, please?
Councilmember Bransky. Councilmember Blanky.
Present.
Mayor Carnegie.
Here.
Councilmember Odell.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Present.
Councilmember Sutherland.
Present.
Councilmember Winowicki.
Present. Councilmember Shornack?
I make a motion to excuse Ms. Bransky. She'll be here later because today is her daughter's honors convocation, so of course she can't miss that.
Second. So a motion and a second to excuse her until she gets here. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I would need a motion to approve the agenda as submitted unless there's any amendments to this agenda at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agenda as submitted. Any comments and questions on that motion? From the audience, back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Citizen participation on agenda items. At this time, I will open it up for citizen participation. At this time, it has to be an agenda item only. And if you cannot stick around for the entire part of the meeting, now's your time to be noticed, and we will address your concerns or listen. Nobody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom? I see none. I call it back to the chair. Item 6, consent agenda. Councilman Winowicki.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda along with the minutes that were amended earlier this week.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda with amended minutes. Any comments and questions on that motion? Back to council. See none? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll sign your minutes for you. Item 7, new business. Item A, fiscal year 22-23 water sewer rates. Ms. Levin, I will give you the floor.
All right, we have talked about the water and sewer rates in conjunction with our budget workshops, and you have the information before you about the water and sewer rates. We are not proposing any increase for the fiscal year, and just looking for a motion to approve those rates as proposed. I'll make a motion to approve the.
I just need a light, that's all.
Oh, we're all staring at each other.
Oh, no, I was actually trying to just double check the thing really quick.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I will make a motion to approve the fiscal year 22-23 water and sewer rates.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments and questions from the audience? Back to council. Comments, questions? None? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, resolution 2022-007, fiscal year 22-23, police and fire SAD millage rate. City Manager Levin?
This is another item that we discussed at length during the budget workshop and came to, I think, an agreement about going with 1 mil in summer and 1 mil in winter for police and fire SAD millage. Did include the resolution that needs to be approved, which is attached. So we're just looking at this point in time for approval of the resolution as attached.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
I just want to make sure everybody was still good with the two that we previously discussed, that everybody, because we were, that everybody was still good.
Well,
Felt,
I was still on the fence because I thought it ironic that we talked about trying to replenish some of that money and pay extra money for the cost that we entitled for the OPEB costs. Now we're taking away part of that tool that was going to give us the ability to even do more of that. So it's kind of a,
but we also discussed bringing
I
the
know.
balance down, so, and using that money to pay down the personal.
it's just hard for me to, we're trying to do the best we can, and we want to pay more, but we took part of the tool away from us to be able to do that a little bit. So. But that's my only comment, as it was before.
It's fair.
Councilman Odell.
I would prefer not to lower PA 33 at this time. I will agree, per our workshop, to go as low as 2 mils if that's what the council agrees to. But I still think financially, we're using fund balance to balance this budget. So we're slowly depleting those funds over time. And we're going to put the city right back where we were a few years back, albeit over a longer period of time. But eventually, if we keep going down this course. I can't see going down less than 2 mils at all. I just think it's financially irresponsible to do so long-term, for the financial long-term of the city. I will support 2 mils if it's for PA 33, if it's agreed upon with the council, but I don't think we should be going anywhere below that for the time being, next couple of years, until our revenues are more in line with our expenses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, I just would entertain a motion then.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh, okay. David, you want to or no? Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Well, at this time, then, I would make the resolution that we enact 2 mils for PA 33 in this year. And I do understand as well, that we have to be smart about it. But if we absolutely have to next year, if we find that we are under where we want to be for our general fund, I would not have a problem, if necessary, bringing it back up a little bit. But for right now, I'd rather bring our fund balance down so that we don't end up with the same scenario we ended up with this past year. So I make a motion for 2
Second.
mils.
We have a motion and a second. City Manager Lane?
Can I just get a clarification with that motion? Is that approving the resolution that sets forth those 2 mils?
Yes,
Right.
approving the resolution to enact 2 mils, one in the summer and one in the winter,
Yeah, this is just for PA 33.
just
but
for
not the
PA 33.
Yeah. So we do have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments from the audience? Name and address for the record, please.
Laura Lessig, 15201 Fairview. I have a grave concern that you are even considering 2. I know the max was 3 this round because of the public hearing notice, but just based on what happened this past year, with you only doing 3 in the previous budget and having to go into the general fund to make adjustments this past year of 1.2 million. I believe you are selling yourself short, especially with all the added expenses that have come up. And we all know we're all paying a lot more for everything. And I believe this city will also be paying a lot more for everything, that you're going to see that with only 2, you're going to deplete this general fund even further than you anticipate. So I'm very concerned about that. And although Councilwoman Shornack mentioned about going higher the next year, that is the wrong thing to put out there to our residents, that, well, we'll just do 2 now because we're good people and we're not going to raise your taxes that much more. But it's just going to backfire on you next year. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? Guess we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blanky,
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie,
No.
Councilmember Odell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornak,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
No.
Councilmember Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries.
Takes 5.
Well, it takes 5, but Amy's not here.
Okay.
So do we have to table it until
No?
we have?
Do you want to put it out for a different one? You can make another motion.
Well, I'll go ahead and make the motion and leave it currently at 3, but,
I'll second that.
so we have a motion and a second to currently leave it where it stands at 3. Give a second on that motion. Any comments or questions from the audience? And bring it to council for a vote. Please do a roll call vote. Am I right?
Are you looking at the same as what we're doing this year, is that you have 2 in July and then 1 in December?
Yes, same format, yeah. Go ahead.
Councilmember Blanky,
No.
Mayor Carnegie,
Yes.
Councilmember Odell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornak,
No.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes.
Councilmember Winawiki.
No.
Motion fails. Councilman Shornak.
Question, I was going to say, I was going to ask you, can I ask the attorney? Can we revisit this when Amy gets here so she can possibly be the tiebreaker, if you would?
4 of you make a motion to amend the agenda to move the item to later in the evening.
Okay. Then I make a motion to move that agenda item to when Ms. Baranski comes, so that we would possibly have a tiebreaker.
So you want to move it to I?
Yep, please.
Okay.
7-I.
7
7
I.
aye.
We have a motion to add, again, resolution number 2022007, fiscal year 22-23, police and fire SAD millage to item 7I. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any comments and questions on that motion, from the audience? Back to council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. 2022 tax rate request.
Unfortunately, it's going to be a little challenging to take care of this as well, because a portion of the L4029 is the millage request, and this should probably be tabled in conjunction with the previous motion. Or is it set aside?
Moved.
Postponed.
Moved.
So you'd like to move C and D to J and K? Because you have both of them there, correct?
To the last 2 items.
Yeah.
So basically move B, C, and D.
The budget as well, yeah.
Yeah, because that, we're going to have to. So we'll move them all to, I guess, I, if, because they're going to be.
Well, you have to do them,
I, yeah.
yeah, we have to do them individually,
JK,
so.
fine.
I, J,
Well,
K.
move E, F, G, and H up. If you want to, don't want to add more letters.
Yeah, we'll just move to C and D to make it J and K.
All right. Well, I make a motion to move them to the end of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to add the agenda amendments. Any comments and questions on the motion, the audience? Back to council, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Sorry if it's confusing, but just a matter of votes. We have, everyone wants to get their votes in, and Councilwoman Baranski will be here today, and I know this is important for her also, so something that needs to be done tonight, unless we have a special meeting going forward, but we really don't want to do that and have taxpayers pay for another meeting, so we'll see if we can get it wrapped up tonight for everybody. Item E, fee schedule amendment. Ms. Levitt, do you have an
So I've been working with the clerk on this, and we submitted the fee schedule to the department heads for consideration to review and determine if there were amendments to the fee schedule that were necessary as the revenue component of the budget. We did receive several changes from various departments, and you have those before you for consideration. At this point, just looking for a motion to approve the amended fee schedule as submitted.
Council's any questions or comments on that fee schedule? I had one, but I think I already asked you.
Okay, had any, but then just double check.
You know, I gotta ask.
Councilman Blanky?
Elaine, unless I'm missing something, I see these and I did go through it. However, was there anything, did we receive something earlier to compare these fees to?
No. They were redlined if they changed them. Otherwise, they were the same.
They were, okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Odell?
Make a motion to approve the fee schedule as submitted.
Second.
A motion second. And all department heads participated in this?
Correct.
We have a motion and second. Any comments or questions from the audience? Back to council. Anyone from Zoom? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead.
I just want to remind people, especially new people to Fraser, if you're going to put in pools, you do have to have someone come out and look at it. Just warning, because I know there were several people who were newer to the neighborhood who did pools last year and then kind of got hit with that, finding out that they needed to get them reviewed. So anybody who's watching and you're new to Fraser, you need to get that permission before putting up a pool.
Permits.
Permits, yeah.
Okay, item F, Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick hourly charges / rates. Ms. Levin?
So you have a proposal from AEW. They are engineering consulting firm. I've worked with the city for a number of years and have not increased their rates since, I believe, 2005.
What was that date? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I couldn't hear you. What date?
2005?
5?
So you have some amended rates that they are recommending approval for. Mr. Scott Lockwood with AEW is here if you have any questions regarding this.
Okay. Pro Tem Shornack.
I don't really have any questions about that, but what I would like, and I do genuinely appreciate AEW keeping their prices the same for literally 2 decades almost. But I would still like us to do like we've done with everybody else and, get 3 different companies to bid. No, it's the acronym's leaving me. at the moment. Yes, thank you. Because I know we haven't done that in some time, and I know that we wanted to stay the same with all of our vendors. So I would like that done because I don't want to enter into, is this just like à la carte for right now? Or is this like we're entering into another contract for the next year?
Yeah, go ahead,
please.
Scott.
Please, Scott.
Good evening. My name is Scott Lockwood with
For
Anderson.
the people who know, you might as well introduce yourself, and
I beg your pardon?
for the new council members here.
Yeah. So Scott Lockwood, I'm Executive Vice President with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. I personally have worked in Fraser since 1999. So I'm also the principal, now I'm kind of the principal rep here. Mike Vigneron, as you know, is the project manager. He is unable to be here tonight because of issues with his health. So with regard to the hourly rates, it doesn't change our agreement, and basically that's the way our agreement currently basically says, that it's subject to adjustments in the hourly rate schedule without changing the agreement. So this doesn't lock you in if you go for an RFP sometime in the near future or distant future. It just basically, until we get approval from the council, we can't change our hourly rates.
Gotcha. That's fair.
Does that clarify? It doesn't-
Yeah,
it doesn't
absolutely. I
mean,
just want to
okay,
make sure, because I know, like I said, I know you guys have been great about it and everything. I just would like to see, just so we can do our due diligence and say, look, we're looking every year or every couple of years to make sure that, we're still getting the best bang for our buck and still being responsible and still getting the best services. It's not always about money. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So I just want to make sure that we're being prudent.
Yep.
Scott, one of the things you and I talked about, I think it was a couple months ago, is too, what I was looking for in council too, is sometimes opening that communications where a lot of questions always come up about projects that we're working on. How far are they? Are they on time or on budget? Is there gonna be extra costs, hidden costs? A lot of those questions are always asked, but really nobody knows. And when the project's complete, we always hear, well, they gotta come back and do restoration, gotta do this, do that. There's a lot of little things that we don't know about, and then all of a sudden we get calls from residents, it's flooded over here, I got all mud over here, they still haven't finished this yet, so. Some type of project updates that we talked about, maybe bullet points or an action items that just show what projects, where they are, where they stand financially, and better communication, I think, as far as administration.
Yeah, I think we provide something like that on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
I don't know about how often that was done in the past, but I did recently reach out to all department heads, and I'm starting to get more regular monthly reports from all departments, including planning and engineering. So as those come in, I usually forward them on.
So, I mean, I can make it at the very minimum, like the week before a council meeting, so everybody has it before, with ample time to review it. I thought we had to put that into place, but I'll just follow up on that.
I think we actually did have something and all that too, but when we talked about Utica,
The water main and the 14.
right, and then Fruhoff extended over 2 seasons, so there's a lot of things that weren't done. because-
Yeah, 14 and the
Yeah,
PRV.
things that we just never really got updates on, and went out and, we'd go out, or myself, I had to go out and take pictures of the floods and send them to Elaine, and she'd send them to you, and
Oh, yeah, no, I
Mike and
understand.
all that, so just more good information, I guess, just,
The information that the residents care about, right?
yeah, and that we that care about
Try to
it.
head off the
On
questions.
time, and it's not gonna cost any more money, and,
Yeah, yep,
And how long is it going to disrupt their service to their homes? Yes.
yep, I
I
understand.
mean, just that better, I think, working relationship as far as, partners. Not just a vendor, that's all.
Absolutely.
Anything else, council? And I would recommend other council too, Scott, spent some time over there. Dave and I went to visit them at their location, and you can actually see a lot what they do for us, and a lot of information that they have to offer, and I think there's a lot of information we don't even capitalize on at this point that we could use, so.
And that's an open invitation for anybody on council or administration. Anytime anybody wants to come by, we'll give them a nickel tour, or we can meet them out in the field too. I think that's kind of valuable
Yeah.
for folks, so.
Yep. Okay, I'll bring it back to council. I'm just looking for a motion. Councilman Odell.
Make a motion to approve the hourly charge rates by Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any comments and questions on that motion?
I'd-
Go ahead.
I'd like to agree with Patrice. I think we should, since we haven't bid this out in an RFP in several years, I think we should, just to make sure we're making all the right and informed decisions.
And we can do that.
Yeah, I put this at the bottom. I'll make
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Any update on the HVAC system for here that we had to redo and,
We'll get you one. I unfortunately can't
okay.
answer that question.
That's one of the questions that we're always asked too.
Yeah.
Or I'm asked, when are we gonna get this fixed? Yeah.
I think I can give you a little bit of an update. We had the owner's review of the plans, I think 80%, and that's complete, so they're working on finalizing the plans, and they'll be putting it out to bids soon.
And we just know that bid's gonna be a lot more than the past one or the,
We'll see.
okay.
Unfortunately, no good way of telling right now.
It's gonna be higher.
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm hoping it's not a year later cost $100,000 more. That's what I'm worried about.
That is the way
It's gonna be that way.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Item G, Zoom and IT issues discussion.
So I got some information from Ed, who does our recording typically. I know we have someone filling in today. So the issues that we have had in the past were because of software conflicts between the software that Zoom uses and our TriCaster recording unit. So he has pretty much circumvented that issue by getting a piece of hardware that can directly connect the Zoom to our TriCast so that we won't have those future software issues. I think tonight kind of is a testament that it seems to be working since everything is functioning. I don't think we've heard any complaints that people aren't able to hear on Zoom. And we were able to start on time. The cost for this part was $461.37. So I'd like to certainly thank Ed for doing a lot of research and trying to find a solution to get this functioning properly.
Thank you, Ed.
That was a great investment for $400.
I think so.
Just paying 15 minutes extra of people's waiting lines.
Oh, and also, just a quick update, I think Councilwoman Baranski had asked about the Zoom participants. Over the last several or I would say several meetings or so, the number of people that we've had on Zoom has been pretty light, just kind of looking at the numbers, really not exceeding, I would say, 5. And the bulk of the people are either department heads or staff or consultants that are online. And then also, as far as Zoom, we re-upped our subscription with Zoom back in March, so we will be tied with them until next February. Maybe we'll be through everything by then.
Councilman Odell.
Just a quick question. Is the meetings being, like I have WOW cable, it's live on that generally. Is Comcast, I had a resident ask me the other day that it's not being broadcast live on the Comcast channel. Do we know that one way or?
I know that we have been having a lot of problems with Comcast, and we've had them out numerous times trying to figure out what's going on. I don't really have any type of feedback from them about what's going on, but it is available on YouTube, live streaming as well, so there are other ways for people, even without cable, to be able to watch.
Okay, I'm just, because I had a couple people ask me about that specifically, but I have WOW, so I have no idea if Comcast is working or not, but I think we should probably advertise that more, especially if half our citizens have Comcast or more, and they're not able to tune in live if they want to. So just to reiterate that it's available on YouTube.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, item G, city manager evaluation discussion. As you, council knows, I sent this out a week and a half or so ago. I didn't copy Elaine on it, but I knew we were getting up to that year. And we followed a pretty good, I thought, process with the help of Mr. Denault and his team for doing city manager last year. And I was hoping that we could follow that same kind of regiment for Elaine's evaluation this year and get that started and knock that off and get it done as soon as we can. So it's open for discussion. Any ideas, suggestions? We'll go from there. Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
I was actually going to suggest the same thing and ask Mr. Denault if you would be awesome enough to send it out to us. I think the format you used last time was good. I think it hit all the points of a city manager. I think you two will find it was very nice. And then we give them back to Mr. Denault and he tallies it all up. And then we have our official form moving forward.
Yeah. And how you want to, when we tabulate all, how you officially want to do it, we can discuss that. Do we, you know, want to, it's been done different ways, but I've sat down with the city manager before and gone over it. We can do it in a public forum, or it can be done depending on what you want to do in closed session. I believe sometimes they ask for it. So we can decide how we do that once we get that process to the end of it, going there. But consider that going forward and how you feel that's important to wrap it up. And then hopefully, once we get ours done, then the city can continue with theirs and get theirs done and wrapped up, and we can actually be on schedule and have everything done in a year, so. And it's never been that way all the time I've been up here, so we've tried real hard to do it that way. So. Mr. Renault, do you have any questions?
Nope, I was waiting for council members if they had anything else, but I remember when we did this the last time, the council would give me direction on dates. So when would you like me to get it to you? How long would you like to have time to prepare it, get it back to me? How long would you like for that process when I tabulate and get them back out to everybody, the final tabulation? And when do you plan to go through the results? Would it be the June meeting? Would it be the July? And that helps me just budget the time to make sure I'm on target with what all of you expect in terms of timing.
Well, to keep it, that's why I actually started early, to keep it on schedule, and, you know, say we can keep it on schedule, would be to have it all set and all tabulated by the next meeting. That way we can decide, you know, Elaine and I will put it on the agenda somehow, closed session, whatever, but then we can discuss, if you have any comments or questions, how we may want to do it, maybe in session or not, it's up to you.
So the next meeting is June 9th. I would ask council just for direction on when do you want the final tally back to you? And let's work our way backwards, so we give you all plenty of time to fill it out as well. So would you want it back to see it a week ahead of time, the 10 days that you're used to for pre-council items? We do have Memorial Day that Monday, which would be about the 10th day, so keep that in mind if that affects any of your plans in terms of being able to get to it. But to me, if you're comfortable with it, I'd get you the final tally by June 1st, that's a Wednesday. Gives you 8 days before the meeting, so you have plenty of time to digest it. That would mean to get it from you, I would like about 2 weeks to prepare it. So if there were a possibility of getting it from all of you by May 18th, that's going to be tight because that's next week. So that's why I like this working backwards process, because it gets tricky.
I was actually putting mine to 27th, but is that not enough time for you? If we had everything
If you got
done,
it to me by the 27th, the problem is we have Memorial Day on Monday, and then I don't believe I'm in the office on that Tuesday. So I would not be able to have it tabulated for you by that Wednesday at the 1st. I could work on it that Wednesday the 1st, but I don't know if I'd have it done all in one quick shot, depending on how busy that day is.
how about I'd like to give council at least, you know, almost 10 days to wrap it up, so if we do.
We shot for the 25th to have you all get me your feedback. That
Yeah.
would be,
That's what I have right.
assuming I get this out to you on Monday.
Right.
I can't do it tomorrow, unfortunately, but if I got it to you on Monday, it would give all of you 7, 8, 9, 10 days roughly
I think
to
that's-
fill it out and get it back to me. I have it from you by the close of business on the 25th, and that gives me the 26th and 27th to tabulate everything for you. And get it to you by June 1st if I need that weekend or that Memorial Day weekend to get it finalized. That make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Sounds good.
And if you remember, Mr. Mayor, the last process we used two forms. We had the evaluation form. We also had a goals form. Did you like that format? And we want to keep those
Way.
distinct but also included?
It's actually, to me, one of the most important ones.
Yeah. Agreed.
Now that we have a full-time person, it's, you know, when we had an interim, it's kind of hard to set goals when you don't know that person's going to be around very long, but. So now's the time to set goals. Everybody good?
I have my direction. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And also, just for the record to be clear and open, I did didn't talk to everybody, but just mentioned about the DPW directors also, being that everyone was new at City Hall and how that want to be handled, but the city manager will take care of that one as they normally would do, but, and being here longer than actually she's been here for hers, we sat down and talked about it, and Elaine's very capable of getting it done, she said, and understands our positions, and so she will wrap that one up for us also. Right? Okay. Okay.
Now we're up to IJK.
Now we're back to IJK, huh?
I said, I was just asking her, like, oh, any idea when you might be here? And she just said about 15 minutes, and I'm like, oh, okay then. So I don't know if we want to, if we can move IJK to 8 CDE. I can make a motion for that if you'd like.
Let's just jumped over to 8, in industrial street repair, that could take a little bit, and
Yeah,
why
that's what I was
Scott's here to answer questions, we might as well know that. Okay.
Before we start on that, I did get a quick update.
Did you?
I've got an angel watching. The bids are due next week for the HVAC.
Next week they're due in?
Yes.
Okay,
They already got pre-bid meetings.
okay. You're gonna make sure that those things are sharp, right?
Absolutely. Nothing, that's a tall order these days.
Okay.
Good evening. Last city council meeting, I come to the city council requesting a $50,000 amendment to do some spray patching in the industrial district this fiscal year, and then to do an additional $50,000 next fiscal year. The direction of the city council was they wanted to see other options on a more of a long-term fix as opposed to just the short-term fix. So as promised, I got 3 quotes on the spray patching, which you have, and had AEW do a thorough analysis on the different methods of reconstruction and what those costs would be. So it's my hope this evening that the council gives some sort of direction on a long-term fix of the route you would like to go, but also approve my short-term fix of the spray patching and approve the $50,000 budget amendment to get started on that right away, because the other options are very expensive and they're very time-consuming. So something needs to be done right away, and unfortunately, this is the only option that's going to be done right away. Scott, would you like to talk about the analysis?
Yeah, I guess I can expand a little bit. We have this write-up. I think everybody has it. I can put some cliff notes, kind of give a cliff notes version of it, but what we've got here are most likely options for things that you can do. There's a reconstruction with a concrete pavement section, which is the most expensive, roughly $18.5 million. Heavy rehabilitation, which includes 2 courses of asphalt with a fabric layer in between. Also, it would require to patch all the concrete that's deteriorated beyond repair, which is a pretty measurable amount out there. I'd say roughly, it's probably maybe 20% roughly now, but by the time you patch all that concrete, you're gonna end up with a lot more than that, because you've got to take concrete trucks on the other side, and you're probably gonna be up to 35 to 40% of that concrete road is gonna need to be replaced before you can put another surface over it. So that was the second option was heavy rehab, we called it, with 2 courses of asphalt with a fabric layer in between. The third option we called more like a light rehab, which was basically to go through, do the concrete patches like we talked about. Again, I don't think you cannot put a surface over that, a lot of that. I'll call it concrete, but it's not. We've seen it. It's almost back to its basic elements. Stone, sand, and whatever's pumped up through it. So if you were going to do that, we still feel like you'd have to do a fair amount, relatively large amount of patching, put fabric right on the concrete, and then put one layer of asphalt over that. That would look really nice as soon as you were done, but I don't think it would hold up very well long-term. And then the last option we looked at was the spray patch. Spray patch, cold patch. Spray patch makes a little nicer surface. It's not going to last really long, which we've indicated. I mean, we put 6 months in there. There'll be some spots that get heavily traveled that, might show a lot more wear earlier than that. There's not a lot of good options. Ms. Levin's called me before, and we've gone through it, and every time we end up kind of saying that, unfortunately, it is at a point where there are not a lot of options. That's one of the reasons, we talk a lot about asset management, and when your roads, that road is basically probably a Paisley rating of a 2. If you have a road that's in that 5 to 6 range, it's really important to put some maintenance dollars, or even the 7 and 8, put maintenance dollars into those roads to keep them propped up. Once you get to a certain point, there are no inexpensive fixes, unfortunately.
Councilwoman Shornack, you had asked for cost just for Malin, so we put that on there for you as well. One of the things that we found out doing some historical digging, and that was credit to Mike, the concrete in the industrial district is 8 inches thick, and it's laying on a bed of clay. So typically, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically your concrete in an industrial district would be between 9 and 10 inches thick, and it would be on 10 inches of some kind of aggregate. Is that?
Yeah, some measurable section of aggregate with an under drain, so you're taking all the water away from it. And
Well, that's why I was asking last meeting, because the Meadows sub is industrial, we have 10-inch thick roads there, and we didn't know really what the industrial sub actually had, and if there was a 10-inch, obviously it's gonna be a lot more.
And yes, so it's 8 inches, and it's lying on a bed of clay. So there's no aggregate underneath, there's no drainage. That's your problem. So
you can see when it rains, even a long time after it rains. I think we went a day after a rain, and there was water all over the road.
So ultimately, the fix is number one. It's total reconstruction. We need to do something short term. My recommendation would be, let's do the spray patching now, and figure out a payment plan of how we're gonna get this done, and start doing total reconstruction. If we only do X amount of feet per year, we start working on it, and we work our way through the whole industrial district. But you see the options before you, and unfortunately, Scott, what would be your opinion? I mean, your professional opinion.
Well, I mean, even if you look at it, there's a few different things here, but the cost per year, the least expensive is actually reconstruction. It's just very expensive. But the other element is, this is going to be very difficult to pave because there's a ton of industrial operation there. And I think you want to be there as least frequent as possible. And I think that's another significant consideration.
So we have the street committee, we've been talking about this for years and years and years, as you know. Mike was helping us with different ideas of even, do we bond it out, do we do special tax zones and stuff like that. We need to put something in place and get it going and quit talking about it, honestly.
Absolutely.
If it's gonna take bonding of, say, $10 million, what would $10 million get us where, is the main thoroughfares like Mulvey, Commerce Drive? Is there 2 or 3 that really, if we sunk that 10, 15, 20 million, whatever we thought we needed to bond out and get it going and get it started, and lock in those prices, what do you think? How much would we get out of that?
Well, if you're talking total reconstruction, you're looking at half the sub. $10 million would get you roughly just over half the sub. But I do have a plan short term. If you approve the spray patching, I'm going to make a policy change or procedure change that when the DPW is plowing the industrial district, that we're gonna put the big plows on the front of the big trucks and not use the belly blades. See, the belly blades work amazing for coming down your street and scraping off the snow and ice and having a nice smooth surface. But when you run a belly blade over a road like that that's got coal patch, you're ripping your coal patch out that you put in, right? So the big plows ride on caster wheels. So you're gonna have about, I'd say about a half an inch gap between, which will keep from ripping the coal patch and the spray patch out. So that's
Well, we do
my
that now,
intent.
yeah, We should do that now anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of tearing all the gravel and big chunks out
Yep.
anyway that you're catching. 'Cause
Yep.
I've driven it after snow, and you're right, I think last year I showed council, I said, I had a piece of rubber this long on the side of a curb, they pulled out, came out, it was in the middle of the road.
But I have 10 full-time employees, and I lose 20% of my workforce, 2 guys. You have no idea how many hours they spend over in an industrial district slinging coal patch, and it's not sticking anymore because it's just deteriorated that much. It's nothing for it to stick to. At least with the spray patch, they can build it up in layers, and it's something to stick to, and it's being rolled in with a roller.
Well, we've been working to get a town hall set up with the industrial people. I've got the big players lined up, and they seem really willing to want to listen and want to help out. But I think we kind of, to go to this meeting, I talked about, you need something. You just can't say, what do you guys want? We know what they want. They want newer roads, better roads. So if council says 10 million, 15 million, okay, this is where we're going to bond out. 10 million, 15 million, boom, this is where we're going to get here, all this fixed and done. That's
And
kind of what we need.
I think you and I have discussed a little bit about transportation economic development funds. Those are, I think this is a pretty good application for that. That'll at least help out. You're not gonna, I don't know what the maximums are there. I think it might be up to $5 million. You've got to, and your business owners need to be part of that process, and there's things they need to convince the MEDC, I believe it is, of. But we've done it before in neighboring communities and did the exact same thing. Had a bunch of meetings. I mean, it took a while, and sometimes the meetings were very pleasant. Sometimes they weren't as pleasant as you'd hope, but we got it done. And that's just another potential pot of money might help to offset some of this burden.
Sure. And it's not going to go to waste, obviously, because if you only do part of it now, you're going to have the other half to do later.
Yep.
So I think council needs to make a hard decision and funding this, and, tax dollars is not gonna do it because it's just gonna take forever. Throwing spray patching in 2-3 times a year, I think we're just throwing our money away, to be honest with you. Even when they patched in Pine the other day, I mean, I went down there, I could just fling in asphalt for 2 days out of my truck. It doesn't stick anymore.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a waste of time to do, but I know you have to because of safety and stuff like that. But so where does council want to take it? I'll let someone else comment. And Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
I actually would want to make the motion to go with Mr. Ragsdale's suggestion for now, at this very moment, for at least doing the cold patch with the rollover. And then we can, at least that'll buy us just, at least a few months to get the other wheels in motion as far as possibly seeing what we can do for a grant, seeing what the over-under is going to be, because I think I read that it's, 10 to 15 years if we replace the roads there?
25.
Was it?
I had 25.
25 for total replacement.
Okay, I must have been looking at 10 to 15 for something else, hold on. Any which way. Okay, so that would even be better, but that would be worth it, and considering how much taxes our businesses do pay, and they have been neglected for far too long. As you said, the PASER rating on those streets are about a 2. And I've driven through there, didn't want to do it again. I don't want to pay for, I can only imagine, I know how expensive it is to repair a car. I can only imagine what it is on the trucks, because I actually do speak to a lot of people who have trucking stuff through our work. But So at least I want to start with that. So my motion right now would be to approve the 50,000 for this year's budget and do an amendment, and then 50 for the next year's budget for the cold
Spray patching.
spray patching.
Second that. But I would also, yeah, I think we need to be laser focused on getting I like the 25 to 30 year, we're getting more bang for our buck. We're gonna attract more businesses over time, which means more tax dollars to help pay for this. So we do need to be laser focused on getting a final solution to this, and sooner we can collaborate with the businesses and go for some grant money. I'm all for that, so I second that motion.
Yeah. There's only so much perfume you can put on a pig.
Yep.
That's it. Councilwoman Blanky.
Well, I agree with you, Mayor. When you first, you talked about bonding out, you asked for an estimated cost. You know, looking back on the big items, the big city hall, the senior center, the senior housing, that big projects, and so are the roads, of course. So I would like to see some more thought and energy go into just the process of giving us some information, because the bonding seems to work a lot better. And, you know, as you said, we can't use the taxes for it. So that's my suggestion and contribution to this conversation. I think bonding is a good idea, long range. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we still have a motion on the floor, and we have a second.
Yeah, I seconded. I seconded. Yeah.
Just a quick update for you, or just,
Tell me the motion and
we jockeyed it around, but this is based on the spray patching for the industrial, 50,000 this year, 50,000 next year. But we seriously want to make some type of big moves in getting collaboration between AEW and grant money, or whatever it takes to put a real sufficient plan together on what we can do in the next 2 years to get $20 million of money put into the roads down there, bonding or tax zones, wherever it takes, but seriously look at that.
we didn't have an alternative that was like, no, okay. So it's this or nothing?
At this point.
Temporary fix till we get the big solution, so.
But, yeah, the patching just doesn't, I don't know.
Okay,
Not a
yeah.
big fan, but it
I know, I just hate
helps some of
wasting.
these roads that are just, where you can't even fix those that are replaceable. But something's got to be done, and
Okay.
we have to just quit talking about it. And
You got to bite the bullet.
Councilman Winowicki.
Yeah, so I'm still not a fan of spray patch. I've never seen spray patch work in an industrial district. It rarely and barely works in a commercial application. It would be better, more suited in a residential application. And my opinion is I'd rather see the 50,000 be focused on the worst of the worst areas and do a hot melt patch in those worst of the worst areas. And then let us work on this bond and go forward and get the entire improvement go. But to spend 50,000 to initially, and then another 50,000 to spray patch in an industrial district where there's a lot of truck traffic in there, and we have no idea what the weight capacity is on those things because they're hauling machinery, they're hauling steel, they're hauling parts. We have no idea. Spray patch is just, I'm not a fan of it, and I can't endorse throwing away $100,000 on spray patch that it's not going to last. So that's just my opinion.
I mean, what do you think, Scott? I mean, I think we're all on the right page, but there's a lot of us up here with that spray patching, you just haven't seen much success with it.
I don't like cold patch. I don't like spray patch. I don't like putting anything on concrete that has no structural stability, which is anything you put on top of that rubble that's out there is going to fail. I mean, asphalt's flexible, so it's going to break up. I mean, it might last a little longer in spray patch. Problem is, the worst of the worst, there's a lot of worst of the worst out there. And so, I mean, I guess my point is all three of them are pretty undesirable. I think you can cover most of the areas with spray patch, like I said, there'll be some parts of those areas that will look pretty bad pretty quickly. I guess I would advocate the spray patch, but man, they're all kind of tied for real close to last. I hate to say that, but
The problem is, for me, is we get tons of phone calls, nasty emails, nasty phone calls, rightfully so, from the business owners over there. And I can't keep sending 2 guys out to fling coal patch that's not sticking. But I have a responsibility to do something because I have to take care of the public safety hazard. And it is a public safety hazard. There's no doubt about it. And we spend a lot of time over there. There is no other alternative for the amount of work that needs to be done over there in the conditions of the road to give these people some kind of immediate relief. I wish there was, but there's not. And it doesn't matter if I'm a fan of coal patch, spray patch, the melting or what. And just like Scott said, whatever we put on there, it's a very temporary fix because Councilperson Winnie Wiki said we have no idea how much the trucks weigh, right? But we got to do something. And this is the only thing that I can come up with that will buy us time that we can put together some type of plan. We may have to do it again next year for other areas until we start working on a plan, because we obviously can't do the whole sub all at once. It's $18 million. So this is my professional recommendation based on our staffing, based on the conditions of the roads, and based on the public safety hazard that we have, that is something needs to be done right away.
What's the size of a half a lane, like block from expansion joint?
I'm sorry.
Half a lane, you have 2 lanes,
Yeah, I believe the road out there is 31 feet wide. I think they're all 31 feet wide, but there might be some variation.
and then between expansion joints, like a square, how much?
So it's 15 and a half foot slabs of
Half
concrete.
slabs?
15 and a half feet.
So when they fix up like these I-75s in these areas and around the cities, because they can't do complete tear downs, and they do, where they pull these squares all the way out all over the place just to get the real bad ones out of the way, at least to hold them up.
A lot of
How
those
many
were joint
slabs can you
repair
buy
for $100,000.
for 250,000? Or if we had the money, how many? I mean, a lot of the ones I looked at, they're at the driveways of these facilities.
So that's a great point. However, in a normal circumstance, how you would handle this is we would put out a concrete repair contract, just like we did last year for Mattioli, where they do spotting. They did it on Kendall. You can't do that here because you have nowhere to stop. When like you said, in front of the worst spots are in front of the driveways where the trucks pivot. I agree 100%. But the problem is you may have to go 30, 40, 50 feet before you get to a piece of concrete that's not busted up enough that you can put expansion joint to. That's the issue. So that's just that there has been no maintenance done on these roads according to the records.
It's
Since
not bad. you got
96 or 97 was the last time something was done.
How is the spray patch going to stick to that?
How,
The way you're talking is
so,
like
because they come in and they have a blower, and they blow all the gravel and everything out, and then vac it up, so that you're down to the actual concrete and not the gravel laying over the top of it. Just like when you paint, you put down your first layer and it gets tacky. So they spray it and it gets tacky. Then that sticks. And then they coat it and they lay another layer. So it's layers upon layers. It's not like they dump it on all at once. And then it has an aggregate over the top of it, kind of like when you make biscuit and you lay it on your counter and you sprinkle flour to keep the roller from sticking. It's basically the same thing. that roller goes over the top of it with that extra aggregate on the top to keep it from sticking to the roller, packs it down. And then they can drive on it almost immediately. Is it going to break up? Yes, absolutely. But it'll last a lot longer than us going out there and throwing. When we throw the coal patch on there, it's not even anything for it to stick to now. So we go out there just to fill a hole, and they drive through it with the semi, and it sticks to the tires, and then they drag it into their their parking lots.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Would you say that you could at least estimate we would maybe get 6 months out of this?
That's what I would estimate, 6
Okay,
months.
because that just gives us 6 months to put together a good plan to make this happen and get all the funding in place, because it has to happen. I don't know that we have another avenue at this point, because it is so, I mean, I've driven through there and I don't know anything about concrete other than the fact that that's really bad. So,
And again, we may have to keep doing this every year until there's a permanent fix done to the road.
Dave, did you relate on again or no?
Oh, no, I already spoke.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Councilman Baranski.
I'm sorry, and I missed this, and I apologize. How long till we can realistically have a permanent solution? Talking bonding and all that, what's the time frame? Knowing government,
Well, that's what we're asking. If we get all the right parties involved, can we do it in 6 to 8 months?
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
engineering perspective, we can certainly get it done and, you know, you would construct it next spring, I would think you'd start. But as far as the different elements or putting it out for bonds, I mean, you're gonna have to get bond counsel involved, but I would think you could get all that. Let's just suppose, like, you were just gonna bond $18.5 million, just for the sake of sakes, because there's so many other
Yeah.
nuances out there. I would think you wouldn't have much of an issue securing, you know, getting all your, you have to have bond counsel in place, or bond counsel, you'd have to hire a bond counsel. I would think you could have everything squared away by sometime near the end of the calendar year, if you embrace that idea pretty
yeah,
soon.
no, right. And then when?
And then you'd get it out to bid and you'd start construction at the beginning of the construction season. You know, April 15th, May, something like that.
spring.
Does that sound about right, Mr. Denop?
You think you're comfortable with that unofficial?
And it was very.
I know that there are so many factors, but I just, yeah.
If you're asking me, the variables obviously include city's capacity to bond, which, because it's a capital road improvement, I don't know for sure, but I think we'll be okay. We'd have to double check that with bond counsel. It doesn't cost us anything extra to have bond counsel do the work. They do it out of the bonds. Their fees come out of the bonds after they're fully funded. One question might be whether or not council's going to put it to a vote of the people, or council's going to do it themselves. That affects bonding capacity limits, and then we'd have to talk to bond counsel. It's 5% versus 10%. Again, I don't know if that applies to roads or not, though. I know it applies to general bond projects, because I've been talking with them about that. Those are the variables I see, and then obviously just the agreement of the group that's affected. And another possibility to think about, although I don't know if it would be well received, if the city couldn't or it wasn't willing to bond the full amount, would there be some kind of an agreement with all parties affected to do some kind of special assessment to defray some of it? You know, would they chip in a little bit to defray some of it so that the city, if the city couldn't bond the full amount or didn't feel it was prudent to? So there are those kinds of variables, but I think the timing that Scott indicated is absolutely accurate.
The other two projects I've had that are similar to this, both were special assessments, some portion of it.
I said that's a part of what we need to do is sit down with all these people and unless there's bullet points in front of you and colored roads and all that, it's a moot point. Everyone just starts talking like, okay, my road, my driveway, this is how much, this is what it's gonna cost, and this is what it's gonna cost you, this is what the city's gonna do, and And this is hopefully the time frame that we want to go by, and
Yeah.
make it simple,
I stand corrected. The roads are 36 feet wide out there.
36.
Getting information.
Real time.
I think it was,
Almost real
how did they get away with 8-inch roads?
I don't know.
I remember when they built that, and
Yeah. I don't know.
Councilman Odell.
Just a clarification on the estimated cost, the 18.5. Does that include the whole industrial park, every street,
Yes.
but not Klein, right? Because that's a county road, is that correct?
Correct. Client, or you mean
Or not-
Kelly?
Kelly, that's what I meant to say, yeah.
Yeah, Kelly's almost in as bad a shape.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So, but that would not include any part of Kelly, because that's
county road.
County road, okay. So that's entire industrial park, okay,
Correct. That's all the square yardage in the industrial park.
all right. Thank you.
I would add, if the council does decide to do that, and we have a plan where we're actually going to do this and we bond it out, that would probably help put pressure on the county to get Kelly completely done as well. So I'm
Might piggyback off the.
Yeah, there's a couple other people that are looking at Kelly too, since that one thing that we were working on through, Levin's office didn't go all the way through. But there are some, Clinton Township's got some group together that they're putting some stuff together for Kelly Out Road also. With consumers there further down the road, and so that's always ongoing, but I know it's slated for what, 24, 25?
The federal aid layout, yeah, I think it goes to 25.
Yeah, 25. But maybe this would, like you said, spark more and get things going. And, in this plan we're talking about, maybe we do it in a 2-year plan. First year is half of it. Second year is going to be this half of it. That way, because you've got transportation issues, trucks going in and out, got to have a good plan on how the trucks business is going to operate.
Probably a pretty good idea. That's a lot of concrete for one construction season.
Okay. But, yeah, we just got to get going on it, that's all. Okay, we still have that motion and that second. Anybody else? God, I just don't know. I just don't know. Well, I just got to call the question. So, any comments from the audience? Any comments from Zoom? Back to council. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any
Nay.
opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 2 nays. So motion carries.
It was Odell and Carnegie as nays.
So, Mr. Mayor, we
No,
have.
no. Winniwiki.
Winniwiki and Carnegie. Mr. Mayor, so we have a 5-2, so it does pass as, was the budget just, because I may have missed it or lost track of it, was it a budget amendment for this fiscal year and next?
Yeah.
Because
Not
the next
next.
fiscal year budget isn't even done yet.
Yeah, not next, just this year.
So a budget amendment to allocate $50,000 to this project, correct? As discussed and decided. Moving that forward, then, what is the plan? Is council asking Mr. Ragsdale to bring back a contract, or are we selecting one of the 3 proposals this evening, or what is the plan for going forward with that for him, so he has direction on how to proceed with spending that allocation?
It's for the one you recommended, correct?
Yeah, for the one you first recommended, so that's like 350 a ton. Which one was that one?
it's 390.
390.
390, and that would be highway maintenance.
They're the lowest of the 3.
Can I add one more piece?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Revote.
It's a great way to do a meeting. Kelly Road is on the federal aid list for 2024.
24. Okay. It was one of the others, 24.
Could be.
Is it all of Kelly or just like 15 and?
Give me about 2 minutes.
Okay, get back to me.
Because I thought they turned us
But
down.
there was one
There's
for
a
the entire
different-
of them. I
Because-
think it's from 13 Mile Road all the way to.
The whole Kelly, like from 14, doesn't need to be replaced to 13, but they need to do sections of that because right on the joist, it's all crap. And that intersection is the worst thing ever, and I don't know how. That did not get taken care of when y'all did Masonic on both ends. somebody really dropped the ball there and should be slapped. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we beat that horse twice already.
Okay.
It's not dead yet.
I know.
It's like the Dairy Queen. It keeps coming back.
I know. I'm sorry.
All set.
All set. Thank you. You better get out of here while you can.
Run,
Thank you. It's nice to see everybody.
Lee.
Thanks, Scott. I'm sure we'll be talking on this road stuff, so.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I still don't know if Mark Ragsdale has direction on, I know there was some discussion about choosing the recommended contractor highway maintenance, but I suppose we probably need a motion to direct him to engage them in accordance with their proposal, if that's the will of the council.
Okay, then my
make her
yeah,
a
my motion will be to go with Mr. Ragsdale's suggestion of highway maintenance for the $50,000 in budget adjustment for this fiscal year, and then add it to our next budget fiscal year. Is that better?
I don't know that we should put that second part in this motion.
Okay, fine.
He's essentially he's already been allocated $50,000 in this fiscal year to do the project. This motion should direct him to use the
Highway.
preferred contractor.
Yes,
Does that make sense, Mr. Ragsdale?
Yeah, highway
I
maintenance.
think he's got that.
Okay.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and second. Any comments and questions on that motion? I see none. Any from the audience? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Okay, let's try to circle this back around now. We are
7I,
7I.
which was a resolution.
Was Resolution 2022-007, fiscal year 22-23, police and fire SAD millage rate. So if you want to go ahead and redo your motion.
Yeah. Okay, so I will remake my motion, which was to enact 2 mills per PA 33 for this fiscal year. This fiscal budget we're currently working on.
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments or questions on that motion? Your light was just off.
I know.
Any comments from the audience? Bring it back to council for a vote. Cynthia, just call a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bransky?
Yes.
Councilmember Blanky?
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie?
No.
Councilmember Odell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornak?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
No.
Councilmember Winnick?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item J, 2022 tax rate request. Go ahead, Elaine.
Guess we didn't really get into this in too much detail. So this form is the L4029, which sets our tax rates for the year. I'm not sure if you guys have ever had this form put before you, but for clarity's purpose and just to make sure that everybody realizes the way that the millage rates are computed, I think it's best practice to put this before you for approval. It does have the operating with the Headley rollback, and that brings it down to 17.7197. It's got the rubbish, which would be 1.4. It's got the ALS with the millage rollback, 0.9419, and then NEC, 0.9419, and then the PA 33, one in July and one in December.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornak?
Is the library millage included in the 17 then?
The
I'm trying
library
to find my
millage-
page, though.
Yeah, we don't have anything for the library millage right now. These are just the rates for the city.
Library has their own.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I just meant as the whole aggregate total for each resident, because that's one, I believe, correct? It's 1 mil?
I think so.
Yeah, the operating. Is it 1 or 2?
Was it just under 1?
I thought it was one.
Is it one even?
I thought it was one even. Hold on, let me find my, well, it's not on this, is it?
Nope, these are the city ones.
Yep, that's what I thought. I'm pretty positive it's one. Okay. There we go.
So you're looking for a motion as, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We have a hand up in the back of the room.
Please step forward. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
no, please, come up here, identify yourself, name and address for the record, please.
Okay. I'm Marlene Heft, 18546 Davidson. The library has 1 mil, but there will be a Headley rollback on that too. So last year it was like 0.97. It's minimal, but a little bit.
Thank you.
It's 1 mil.
Thank you. So Arlene, you're just looking for a,
Looking for a motion to approve the tax rate request.
Councilwoman Baranski.
I'll make a motion to approve the millage request report as presented in the packet.
We have a motion to approve it as submitted,
I'll second.
and a second. Any comments or questions on the motion? Any from the audience?
Michael Essich, 15201 Fairview. Real quick, number one, the library millage is not included in this. That's a separate millage. We collect it, but they levy it. And the second thing is, what was that? That's the main thing. And that, oh, I know. Last year, we did this kind of the same way. Are you passing the budget at the same time as the tax rate? Because that's what's on the agenda. And that's what happened last year when we voted for the millage rates, and then we found out that the budget was passed at the same time. So I'm just curious if you're passing the budget also. Or is that a separate motion?
It's the next agenda item.
Yeah, budget's the next agenda item.
It says budget and millage rates. I just looked. Is that, I'm just clarifying because last year was screwed up because I planned on voting yes on the tax rates and no on the budget, ended up voting on the budget as well, so. Anyway, that's all.
Separate those.
Does that make, yeah, I remember that. Is he correct or?
I don't have any independent recollection of that. But the way it's set on the agenda, the next resolution to be discussed is going to be the adoption of the budget through the budget resolution, or what's often called an appropriations action. That is an adoption of the full document that includes the millage rates, but those have already been approved.
But it makes sense, just put this after then there's an issue. Because
To separate
this, yeah, just do this form after we do the budget.
Kind of already separated because we've already voted on
Oh, you did vote on the budget?
No, we voted on the other two.
Oh, right, so this wouldn't approve the budget then. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. I'll leave my motion as it.
Can we have a motion and second? Any comments? Already went through that. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Now we're at the K, which is the resolution.
Item K, Resolution 2022, fiscal year 2022-23 budget / millage rates.
Or-
The budget, you wanted to,
Oh, yes. Sorry. I was just recalculating those in my head, and I'm like looking at them going, wait a minute, that didn't make sense. I would like to make a motion to the resolution of 2022-008-FY 22-23 budget. And obviously, we already approved the millage rates.
Second.
we have a motion and second. Any comments from the audience? See none? From Zoom, anybody online? Back to council, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B, public safety uniform discussion.
At one of the previous meetings, we had some conversation about uniforms and the expectations about what the process is and the, I guess, procedure. In particular, it was discussed about having uniforms while they were at schools. I know Captain Bisbee has done a little bit of research on this. The process that we have in place, he does not recommend any changes. He did a little bit of research and looked at a couple of other City of Adrian, I believe it was, in the State of Michigan Police, and found our policy to be more restrictive than what they have. And that's part of why he did not recommend any changes at this point. He is here for any questions that you may have regarding that.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Well, I still want to know when, like, casual Fridays and everything. So I saw the news article that went out where that moron was in the parking lot after he just got released and then assaulted the camera guy, and only one person was in a uniform. I still stand by the fact that unless you are undercover or you are doing training, and we don't really have any undercovers anymore, but then there should be no reason you shouldn't be in a uniform. I mean, that's part of the job, and people recognize that as an authority figure. They recognize that as they can go to you for a safety. And just like at the fair, I wouldn't want guys walking around, not that they would, but I wouldn't want you walking around in just something that has just the emblem and pants. I mean, people would need to know who to go to if anything ever happened. And ironically, at my job, we recently had active shooter / robbery training. And I was talking to the 3 police officers that were there from Detroit, and they were stating that even unless they are going to like that kind of a thing where they're coming to the community, well, 2 of the officers that were there were in full uniform, and the one, because she's like a community outreach more or less, like she does those kind of programs. I don't have a problem with that either, but she wouldn't go to an active shooting situation. The other 2 officers, they do those things, but they wear their uniform because they would be called into that. So I understand that active shooter, because they said the same thing, they end very quickly. But I had asked the officers after, just out of curiosity, would you ever recommend just officers, that are in the office just being casual and command officers? And they're like, our command officers are always dressed. And I'm like, okay. And I feel like we should, I think that, I don't really care what other places do. In Fraser, I want our citizens to feel safe. I want them to know who they can go to. I don't want them just to feel like, oh, okay, well, that person has an emblem, because we know in the past people have impersonated police. That has happened. And in this day and age, we don't know what's going to happen from one minute to the next. Somebody could walk in here right now. I mean, that happens. And I just think it's important for people to know who they can go to and who they can rely on to protect them, because that's the job that you signed up for. But that's just my opinion.
Anybody else? Yep. Councilman Winter-Wiki.
So I've read the policy on the uniform that you actually submitted back to City Manager Levin. My question in reading this and having developed a uniform policy for 2 other companies that I worked for, do you have, what is an Albeco 2214-3 or Flying Cross 97-R-6686? Do you have pictures of those? I mean, I just wanted to make sure that I'm with Councilwoman Shornack that I don't believe a polo with an emblem qualifies as a uniform shirt.
Well, this would be or it's equivalent, so it would be this style shirt. That's what you're looking at, yes.
So those 2, because it says the Albeco or the Flying Cross on the short sleeve and the long sleeve under uniform shirts, it's actually a uniform shirt.
Yeah, you're talking about these
Police
Class A.
issue uniform
Yes.
shirt, not a polo with, so there's
Correct.
no variance here of polos. And the same goes for the uniform trousers. These are like tactical pants, or, I mean,
Well, they have an option.
because you've got Fetchheimer 32, 233, or equivalent style. And then you got 3 different weights on it, which I understand, different seasons. But I guess that would, for me, it would have been helpful just to see pictures and not have to ask those
Yeah,
questions.
and those come from Gulls, which is
Okay,
a public safety provider of equipment and uniforms,
right.
so.
And also reading further into the policy, it said, when on duty, all uniforms should be worn. And again, I think that concurs with what you're looking for, Councilwoman Shornack. And unless the director pulls a variance on it. So, that was
I
just
think the personnel we're talking about strictly is the Detective Bureau, right? That's who you're talking about, the non-uniform personnel?
No, I've been here where, even like yourself, on a Friday or something, it's very casual. There's been other, like sergeants and stuff, like in regular polos and khakis, and so, and I've seen jeans a couple times, and I'm just like, when did that change? So, I don't know. I guess I'm just looking for anybody who is not going to be undercover. But again, we really don't have an undercover anymore.
We still do covert operations.
I mean, I get 100% why those people would have to be in casual or whatever to play the part. But I know I heard somebody say something about when they try to go in to buy liquor and they're younger and stuff like that. And I'm like, our cops are not going to, yeah, I know.
We're in there as witnesses, so we
Well,
can't go in there in a uniform. We have
yeah.
to be in there, that's called a compliance check.
Okay. So but I thought they were saying about because the people who are buying the liquor, I'm like, I'm sorry, I know we have some young looking guys and gals, but they don't look that young.
We don't have anybody that would fit that legally.
Yeah,
They use younger.
yeah, absolutely.
Councilwoman Baranski?
Yep. So, thank you for the research that you did do. My questions are, so you could only find the city of Adrian in the state of Michigan that we were,
You
like,
can find as many as you want. They're all pretty much, they follow a generic footprint now.
Right.
They say, here's our uniform policy, but refer back to the manual to see what it actually is.
okay.
So where you would see the list of the shirt and equivalents of.
Right. So what I thought when the motion was made and what I was looking for was just clarification. You have a rule. Obviously, there are always exceptions to the rule, but the exception should not be leading. And I agree, it's gotten casual across the board. I didn't anticipate it just being the Detective Bureau, but because to me, I thought they actually had pretty strict rules. When they're in court, they're supposed to wear a coat and tie and
A tie and a collared
a
shirt.
tie, that was it, thank you. I don't know if that's being enforced or not. That is, I don't know if that's in the policy, because we just got the policy, I guess, Friday, or I forget when. But I guess I'm at a loss for what the objection is. If the policy is that you're supposed to wear the uniform, why are we not wearing the uniform?
Well, I think you're talking about the Detective Bureau, right? The non-uniform personnel? They've never been in uniform.
Okay, so
That's
what
what
about
she's-
command? What about the lieutenants? What about the fire?
We wear a variation
fire
of the
chief?
uniform.
What
If you
about-
look at the policy, it allows for deviations. And that's what, well, I've been promoted since 16 into administration, and it was pretty much business casual.
So is that in the policy, or is that at the director's discretion?
I would say it's director's discretion. That's the way it's been. That's the past practice forever. It was before even I was promoted. So you had the detective lieutenant who was always in the business casual. Every once in a while, that was Dan Kolke. Every once in a while, he'd wear his uniform. So,
I just agree with the motion and the reason it was made, which is, especially as things are getting closer and closer, and we're getting emails from the schools that, it's all hands on deck there, and I want readily identifiable, whether it is the chief of police or the paramedic, whoever is on site is readily identifiable, and the discretion or the exception should be very specific and very easily delineated. And it's funny, we got a lot of great examples, like, of course, if you're interviewing a child, take off your gun, take off your tie. If you're in court, wear a shirt and tie. it's not business casual in court. It's not polos and a khaki. I'm on court Zoom all the time, and the gentlemen are in a tie when they're addressing the court. I don't know how it happened, but I am 100% in agreement that whatever the policy is, it should be tight and simple, and it's not limited to any one particular department, but it's not excluding exceptions either, to me. So,
I would point out that we did get letters from the superintendent of the school and Principal Sines and Principal Julian, so they talked about our recognizability in the schools. And you should have got those in your packets.
yeah, and actually, someone brought up to me that there was a cop walking through the schools with either narcotics on the jacket or something like that.
We're using old jackets still, yeah.
And that doesn't send the message that, you know, the kids are thinking, oh, drug bust. Not police officer here to protect us, but police officer here to bust us. That's the message that, you know, it's coming up from the moms and the dads when they hear from their kids. Drug raid. So,
It's not the message I get. They usually make fun of me when I wear that narcotic.
well, I mean, I can tell you, yeah,
My
right?
back, to my
your
back,
face.
because it says it on my back.
To your back.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to reuse and repurpose, not buy new.
Right, but if everyone were in a uniform like this, why would we need a narcotics jacket?
Because we utilize them still when you're in your soft clothes. So we
Right.
have those soft close positions. They've been around since at least the 60s, the best we can tell. I don't have any information past 68, I believe it was.
And what do we have, 50-some officers then? Half?
68?
Yeah, yeah,
Boy.
or more than that?
What was different, it was not a full public safety, so you had fire.
Okay, right,
police.
good point.
So it was still divided.
But at our height, we were in, what, 50?
50 plus one,
Yeah,
yeah.
50, yeah. So, a lot different now. A lot more hats that everyone has to wear. Thank you.
Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you. Hi, Dave. I agree with everything, you know, that everyone is saying. And within the debate, it's not an argument, it's just a debate. I also recall when there was the casual Friday, and obviously that's still going on. I only recall the command officers. They were the ones that wore the khakis and the polos, correct? I mean, obviously, the PSOs didn't when they went on the road. So it was the lieutenants, the sergeants, but,
Detectives. It was the detectives also. Anybody in
the
plain clothes,
detectives.
yes.
Okay.
The detective bureau has always been Fridays, been casual.
so how many people really then did it affect?
You're talking about 3.
Right, the
For
two
John and I,
the
for John
lieutenants.
and I, yeah, for John and I, we're typically in a version of the uniform that you would identify as a police officer. If it's not this, we have the embroidered polos with the uniform shirts. And the administration sees us around.
Okay, so 3 you say. So what, the director and the 2 lieutenants, that's what I recall, other than the detective bureau, as you noted.
For Fridays, we're talking,
For
right?
Fridays, correct. So the maximum, what, 5 or 6?
Well, 5 or 6, yeah.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the word precedent, okay, and I understand that. However, I don't feel that this world we're living in right now is a precedent to anything. It has changed so drastically, and I too agree with what Mayor Pro Tem, I think it was a bad look, you know, when that individual was out in the parking lot, and all the, you know, all the PSOs were out there, but you couldn't identify whatever. I just think, if we're just talking 5 or 6 individuals and they have titles, I don't know how that betters the police department. I don't know what that does for the PSO's morale, other than you guys' morale. And to be honest, I would feel, since we did dismantle the police department, I would prefer to have as many officers or PSOs in uniform, just as part of the job. You know, nothing punitive or nothing, just personal, just part of the job, professionals. And hypothetically, if something happened drastic in our city, and say that the 2 captains now would go out and the director would go out, but they're not in uniform. They're not in uniform, correct? I mean, in a drastic emergency, they would leave to go to the
If I
scene.
wasn't, you're saying if I wasn't already wearing this, I would just finish putting on what I need to put on, yes. I'm always in a version of the uniform.
Pardon?
I'm always in a version of the uniform. Yes.
You always have, you're always in your uniform?
I'm in a version of the uniform, yes.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm looking for is to, you know, I am in favor of a uniform. I just think it's part of the job. I think it shows respect for the department. It is a blue line that I really respect, and I think it's just part of the package, and, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? So are there any other actions you need, Arlene or council? Is there any?
I think as we have it standing right now, we have a process that has been submitted and no changes recommended. So if there's changes that you guys want, maybe some clarification, be able to draft something and bring it back to you.
If council desires a change to the current policy.
Policy's pretty clear.
Councilwoman Baranski.
That's okay. It was her motion, I'll let.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just want to make sure that we're dressed, you keep saying a version of, but I don't think the polos with the badge on there is a version of a uniform. I mean, in the building, obviously, people will know who you are. But in case, like I said, that absolute emergency happens, you right now are command. You and Captain Gillis will have to go. I can't imagine you guys would stay here. You would be there. And taking those extra minutes to get in a regular uniform, say it's a Friday and you're wearing those polos, and to get in your stuff and to get your vest and everything else on, those are critical minutes. And you guys are all trained too for EMTs. And I know after an active shooting situation, you go through first, obviously, vacate the building, make sure the active shooters are out of there, that everybody can come out, they're safe, blah, 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 before you even tend to the people who may be injured. But then you need all hands on deck, because if it is a shooting, if they're not dead, pray to God they're not, and you could save them, you have to be able to be there, and people have to know who they can come to. I think that's valuable time that you'd be wasting getting into your actual uniform. So I still am against casual Fridays in that sense. I understand that we have detectives that need to dress in that, because that's part of their uniform, is to dress casual, to go ahead and be out in the public as far as, you know, sting operations or whatever. But I just think as a standard thing, got to be in a uniform, your regular uniform, your blue uniform, with your patches and insignia.
Councilwoman Baranski.
Yeah, I guess, I thought the motion that we passed 7-0 was to direct the city manager to create a policy that really kind of tightened it up, and then to bring it back. And to me, since there's versions of uniforms for different people that isn't delineated in the policy, that creates discretion, which creates arbitrariness, which creates inequity, which creates a whole lot of potential opportunities that if we're trying to run a business, it should be clear what you get to do and what you don't get to do. And so that was what I thought we were directing you to do. So given what you've given, I don't think that the policy is clear, since I don't know what a version of it is. So that would be my.
That's much more eloquent, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
You are an attorney, so there you go. But yes, that's what I was looking for.
So you're directing me to work on a policy for the uniforms?
But yes, but it's very clear about what is what, and who is to and who can't. I mean, obviously, again, there are certain situations. Obviously, you'll work with Detective or Captain Bisbee in order to do that. But I just want very clear delineation of who's supposed to be in a uniform and what that uniform is.
Councilman Winowicki.
Yep. So again, having read the entire policy, you have a great platform and a great basis here. And a lot of what's been talked about is actually explained. What's not explained, though, is what versions are. So if we can somehow get rid of the word or the term version of, and and stick to what's in the policy, then I think you've already got, you'll do a couple of cut and paste, and you'll send it back to us, and it'll be up to date. It'll be, very clear.
And that was one thing that I had been looking for, is what's a definition of a uniform?
Yeah. And it is actually spelled out. It tells you what the uniform shirt, what a uniform trouser, what a uniform jacket, what a uniform appearance as far as tattoos and everything. It's all spelled out in that policy of what's allowed. And it even says that when you're on duty, you are to be in that uniform. It tells you the colors of the badges and the bars and insignias and the nameplates, and it tells you, it's all in there. It's all spelled out.
And they do get a uniform allowance every year. Just saying. So if we could just tighten it up, I guess, and then revisit it, just heading it back out to us again, that would be great.
Okay. Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain? Item 10, report of city administration. I'm sorry,
Let's
9.
see, the bushes for Somerset, hopefully will be here sometime in June. They're coming from Pennsylvania. I have sent out the staff evaluations for the department heads and received those back from our 4 staff department heads. So I'll be working on my evaluation of them and then meeting to review those. This year, for the most part, really is kind of setting the bar for comparison's sake moving forward. We have started the Parks and Recreation Master Plan process. The group met and we took a look at the current master plan that we have and took a look at some of the questions, and we will be working on compiling a survey that will be going out, and we'll be sending that information to Council Planning Commission and Recreation Commission for review prior to sending that out. The farmer's market starts this Saturday. It's from 9 to 1 here in Steffens Park. And the Fame Awards are at the Vintage House on Monday at 5:30. That's all I have to report at this time.
I always first. Am I on? So, also this weekend, so we have the farmer's market. There's also the spring fling at the library, which looks quite fun. So bring your kids, go to the library. I think that's 9 to 1.
Is that the rummage sale too, or is that?
Oh. Yeah, it was close. It was in the same range, so 10 to 2. But yeah, so go to the farmer's market, right? Go to the library. It's lots to do. And yeah, the Fame Awards, I'm excited for that on Monday. I actually get to present, so you get to see me speak. But yeah, I'm excited. So a lot of good conversation tonight, and yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you. Councilman Brandt.
Yes, I apologize if you already did this, but did you guys get an update on the director search? Okay, so we had, it's in progress. We had 16 candidates apply. We narrowed it down to 10, and we are in the process of doing video interviews and then first-round interviews with those 10 candidates, hoping to have those narrowed down further to then continue with our process, which is going to be some sort of, hopefully, a formalized outside vendor doing some sort of situational type interview to then narrow it down and have final presentations to council hopefully soon. And we did have 2 internal candidates that applied as part of that packet, and look forward to amazing candidates. So thank you to Sarah and Elaine. Blown away by the resumes. Really impressive. And other than that, I don't have anything else. Busy season for all of us. I apologize for being late, and thanks for taking care of everything without me.
Good reason to be late.
Yeah, it was a really good night for my daughter. So
Great. Congratulations.
thank you.
Dina, go on.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing. So to piggyback off of that, so Patrice and Amy and I are the subcommittee for the director position, and there's been a lot of consensus so far. So we've all been on the same page. Thanks, shout out to Sarah's amazing spreadsheet that also helped the process go much, much faster for us, but I just wanted to share that as well.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you. I really don't have anything to say. I think we had a good meeting. I agree with that. And I wish everyone a good month. See you next month. God love you. Bye-bye.
Everything was mentioned that I would have been mentioning, so just hopefully everybody enjoys their Memorial Day weekend coming up. My kids are starting baseball this weekend, so I know a lot of parents are getting out there and getting active in outdoor sports and things of that nature. So I wish all the kids out there good luck with that, and we'll see you next month as well.
Great.
What's your flip-flop back and forth?
I was just stretching my neck, just making my neck do some more work tonight.
I don't have a lot to add either. I mean, everything's been covered. I just do want to clarify my position, though, on the spray patching. I still, in my heart of hearts, still feel that that's just throwing away $100,000. I'm not against doing something in the industrial district. I really want to do something. We've been trying to get that together for a couple of years now, and I think those businesses do deserve some better treatment with regard to those roads. I first got on council, I brought up getting a hold of the Macomb County Economic Development Authority because I worked with them at another company, and there are funds available through them as well. They help build, I think it's New Baltimore's industrial district, and their roads. So I think there's just a bit more that we could be doing, and we're just not doing it. But I'm still against throwing away $100,000 on spray patch that's going to be, a 50,000-pound trailer dragged across it. It's just going to come up. So, but I'm not against the industrial district. I think they're very vital, and I think they deserve more than what we've been giving them. So that's why I just wanted to explain why I voted no on the spray patch.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah. You're going to die. So, I actually was at a fundraiser for the Knights of Columbus, and somebody actually asked me about the Dairy Queen. Yeah. So where are we on that? And can we get an update in the near future? Because I told her, I'm like, listen, it is a bone of contention for the mayor and myself, and I have to look at that literally every day, multiple times a day. And she even said, it's just an eyesore, it needs to be torn down. I told her that there was something in the works, and hopefully they're going to actually do what they say they're going to do, but we really haven't gotten an update in a couple months. So I'm going to ask you for an update, please, because enough's enough with this ridiculousness. So that's on that. I'm going to task you with that. The next thing is Historical Commission is having, they're asking for donations. Starting May 25th, they will be at the museum between 5:30 and 7, taking any donations of things. If you don't want to have your own garage sale and you want to give it to them for their barn sale, they will happily take it. I said yay. And then on June the 5th, from 1 to 4, they're going to be having their plant sale and their barn sale, and of course, an open house. So definitely get in there. I would like on the agenda for next month, if everybody is on board, that we do an RFP for our engineering. I think we haven't done one in a couple years, so I think it's time. It's absolutely nothing against AEW, just I think it's time. We've been doing it with everybody else. And if you can as well, if everybody's in agreement, because we do want to get this ball moving, I understand why Mr. Winowicki feels, and I trust his professionalism on that whole patching. I just know we have to do something for right now until we can get this other part together. But if we could start getting numbers maybe on, what number, if we did the $18,500,000, if we had to do the whole bond amount for, we had to pay it, what our payments would be. I'm assuming, the duration of time. I'm going to look into something I heard about and see, we got a really good rate that one time with the lights. So I'm going to see if I can find out if they would do that as well. I don't think so, but I'm going to ask anyway. But if we can get some numbers maybe together, just so we kind of have an idea, because I agree with the mayor, when we go to the businesses, we need to have a plan. And I think a good plan would be a nice balance of special assessment, if they're willing to do it for them, and also the city bonding, because again, they deserve new roads, and their businesses depend on it, and we don't want to lose any businesses. And, you know, we've put that off so long that we absolutely have to do something and get it ready to go so that when spring hits next year, we're moving forward. And then my other question was just this, when I was looking over the information. So the senior housing is supposed to be an enterprise fund, so it's supposed to take care of itself, and no money is supposed to come out of our general fund or our taxes to fund the senior housing. And when I was looking at the numbers on there, there's like a difference of $132,138 versus the expense versus the revenue. Where is that 100? I just want to know where that $132,000 is coming from. So on your little breakdown for the taxes and everything, I think it's page 90. If you can just email me that, because it is, the city ran the enterprise fund, they didn't run it as an enterprise fund for years. Mr. Lessig and I were like really always like, we cannot keep funding the senior housing. I love the seniors, it's nothing to do with them, but if we are not paying for the building and the expenses from the revenues, we have to rethink that, because this is not supposed to be subsidized by the city. It is supposed to be a standalone enterprise fund. So I just want to make sure that that is still continuing to be just that, because we did that for literally decades. We funded, the citizens funded it, and I don't even think they knew that, honestly, for the longest, but we want to make sure we're running that correctly. And congratulations to all the seniors who are graduating and all the college graduates. I know you have a senior from high school, I have a college graduate, so congratulations to all those who are finishing up and going on to their next level of education. And everybody hopefully has a nice and happy Memorial Day for their families.
Weather's getting nice.
Oh, yes, thank you, Jesus.
I just had a couple of things, just for, you may have seen it in the CNG paper. I don't think Fraser was in there, but Clinton Township was. But we had, I think, 9 PSOs, a captain, and a medic or two who did the Comerica Park stair climb, and they climbed 3,000 stairs for charity. And they raised about $3,000 for the charity, and for cancer, I believe it was for. And it was a good turnout by the city, and it's been a while since anything like that's happened for in the open, doing charity events. Next week, Wednesday, I'm going out to South Dakota to do a pre-inspection on a fire truck. I'll send some pictures and a report out after that visit to update everybody on that. And I think that's all I have this time. Anybody in the audience? Good evening.
Hello. So my name is Hillary Dubay. I reside at 28713 Coleridge Street in Harrison Township. Probably wondering why, as a Harrison Township resident, attending a Fraser City Council meeting. For a couple of different reasons. One of which is, as I'm sure many of you are aware, there has been a redistricting in regards to state representative seats, and Fraser and Harrison Township now find themselves in the same district. I believe this is the first time that it's ever happened, and it's definitely interesting considering the two communities have a lot of differences and a lot of similarities. As I mentioned, I reside in Harrison Township. I actually currently serve as the president of L'Anse Creuse Public Schools. I am the school board president. So it's very, very exciting for all of our seniors and everybody graduating this time of year. But I am also now taking the next step in running for the state representative seat for the 62nd district. So it's become somewhat of a personal mission of mine to learn more about Fraser and learn more about this community. I do have some representation here already, as I have nieces and nephews who do live in Fraser, go to Fraser schools. I'm sure you've seen the Dubay name in a couple of places, on the back of football jerseys, soccer jerseys, things of those nature. So I got the kind of look from a couple of board members. As I know, sitting on a board seat, you always say, who's that person in the audience? So I thought I would just come up and introduce myself. I look forward to learning more about Fraser, learning more about the community and its needs. As I say, we have a lot of similarities in regards to infrastructure in Harrison Township, concerns about roads in our industrial areas as well. I'm very interested to see how the state and local government can work together to provide and improve that for our constituents. Other things too, my top priority obviously would be education. That is where my background is and where I come from. So I know and understand the importance. I have a great relationship with Carrie Wozniak. We speak quite regularly in regards to education and our perspectives on it. I think that that's just due diligence in the role that I play right now. But I look forward to being out and about in your neighborhoods in Fraser and participating in the city as much as I can. And like I said, I just wanted to come introduce myself this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Need anything, let us know.
If you could give your contact information for the city manager to send out, so if we had any questions.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. You'll see me around.
Thank you.
Elaine?
One little update that was missed, the Memorial Day event, flag raising in front of City Hall, put on by VFW, will be at 11 a.m. on Memorial Day.
Is that my official notice for the honor guard? Are they gonna contact me, or is that you were contacting me? Oh, okay. What day? I'm sorry.
Memorial Day, 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Yep, 11 a.m.
So on the 30th. Well, I thought I actually almost had that in my calendar. I would have been impressed.
Mr. Denault?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had one very minor update that it just occurred to me, so I might as well share it with you. If you'll recall that the City Council approved that agreement with Advancing Macomb for the recreational programs with hopefully Mount Clemens. I did talk to the Mount Clemens City Attorney and confirmed that they're in the process of getting that approved as well. He was just asking me if what he was hearing was true. Did Fraser actually approve it? So I did talk to him briefly, and he said he's blessed it and it's moving forward. So.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll make a motion, we go into closed session to
Nope.
I was gonna make, come on.
Okay. Laura Lessig, 15201 Fairview. A couple of comments. The Zoom, now that it is working, although I would like to see who's on there when we're in here, but that's something else. Will Zoom be available for all the other commission meetings? Planning, zoning, Parks and Rec, all that? Why is it just City Council? So I think that's important that we allow Zoom, because there are still a lot of people that are hesitant to come into a building with many people, and with the COVID coming and going, a lot of people I know just recently got it. So I think it's important that we give the opportunity to our residents to be able to attend all these different commissions if they want, you know. Another thing, I know your HR vendor that you had a year and a half was always available for updates on what's going on in that area. I think it's important that we continue to have an HR update, because you've had several employees that simply left recently, including the DPW clerk, and that there's no opening on the website that I can see that you're looking for a clerk, a full-time clerk. There's one for a part-time, and there's some part-time other, but I think it's important that the HR department, whether it's a partial department, whatever it is, they give you an update on what's going on with all the employees in situation, because, like, you know, the person was supposed to do the website left. So now who's doing all that? And I think it's just important that the residents know what's going on with that. Plus, let's see, I had my grandchildren today, and we ventured out and went to Meadows Park. And although I love the park, it's really not conducive for my 3-year-old grandson. And the park is a total mess. If you've driven by there, there's piles of dirt, there's shrubs in a pile, there's wheelbarrows behind a tree. The pavilion is beautiful all around it. It's like open. It needs to be completed. You have a liability out there with people falling through the cracks. It's not done, and the grass hasn't even been cut. My grandson, the grass was up to his knees, and it was ridiculous. So I don't know what happened. I see DPW employees out cutting grass here and there. That grass has not been cut at all, and it's just disgusting. On a better note, the Fraser First Booster Club is having a fundraiser at Ramshorn on Thursday, May 19th from 5 to 8. There'll be a raffle and a bake sale there as well. Our next Fraser First Booster Club meeting is Tuesday, May 24th, hopefully at Fort Fraser, weather permitting. We want to try to look at Fort Fraser as possibly our next focal point, because McKinley Park will be completed once we have the ZIP cruise completed, which I'm told within the next couple weeks, the surfacing will be completed there, and maybe we can all enjoy that. And that's about all I have. So, the other thing I wanted to mention is that we have, the Booster Club meeting is at 6:30.
Nope. Fundraiser, what time?
5 to 8.
Thank you.
At Ramshorn. There are still commission openings at the Parks and Rec Commission, is what I wanted to say. And we really need people that are passionate about the parks and passionate about being involved in the park, the 5-year plan, because I think it's important that we get the community involved up front and not wait till the end. I'm sorry? Okay, I'm done. Just so that, I think it's important that we get it out there. There's still openings. We need people involved. So please, call your neighbors, call your friends, whatever. Let's get this done. Thank you.
And I did address the park with the DPW, sent them pictures and everything on that park. It needs to be finished. Thank you. Okay, at this time then, anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, now I'll make a motion to go into closed session to consider attorney-client privilege communication as permitted by Section 8(1)H of the Open Meetings Act.
Second.
Motion and second. Cynthia, please call roll call.
Councilmember Bransky? Yes. Councilmember Blanky?
Yes.
Mayor Carnegie?
Yes.
Councilmember Odell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burnett?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland? Yes. Councilmember Wood?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go closed session at 8:35 and take 5 minutes. The restrooms are needed.
Don't forget next month.
I'll call the meeting back to order at 9:18 PM.
We need the video guy.
I think he gave me the thumbs up.
Give you a thumbs up, okay.
Let's make sure. Let's just.
Don-
Ed, are you there?
He's not Ed.
Oh, it's not Ed? Oh, it's Josh tonight? Okay.
Today's the, what's the date?
We're gonna-
The 11th?
Today is the 12th. Today is the 12th, because tomorrow is Friday 13th.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Councilman Odell?
No, Councilman.
Oh, Dana was first. Dana saw that.
Uh-huh.
Councilman Sullivan.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Captain John Gillis, interim director, effective Monday, May 16th of Fraser Department of Public Safety.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will abstain from the vote, being an employee of the Public Safety Department at this time. Mr. Denault?
I just want to clarify the motion to the motion maker. That motion does not in any way impact his status as a captain in his current union, correct?
It does not.
And he would remain, just as we've done in the past, if he were to accept this role, he would remain in the captain role, but also the interim director until a director is located for the city. Is that right?
That is correct.
Just making sure. Thank you.
Thank you for making sure.
Really, thank you.
So we do have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the audience? I see. Any from Zoom? I assume no. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn?
I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody.
No, I want to stay.